All right, welcome to DevKami number 56. This is Sumain,
I'm Tristan.
and Leon is a bit sick, so he's not in today. So, Merry Christmas! Oh, wait.
Hmm.
Did I confuse Deck 25 with Oct 31 again? So it seems. So, today is Halloween. Uh, it's
do you
in
celebrate? Do you celebrate Halloween here in Malaysia?
No, we generally don't
Mm.
because I mean Christian have All Saints Day and all that.
Yeah,
Those
so
are not
tomorrow
holiday.
is the holiday. At least in the Philippines, tomorrow is the holiday. 31 is
Yeah,
just a normal day.
yeah, it's a normal day because a lot of it is pop culture thing. It's a pop culture thing. It's
Mm.
never a thing until recently, actually.
Oh, what happened
So,
recently?
American TV.
Mm.
So, it's generally not a thing in Malay. It's generally not a thing in Malaysia, but as more and more people come in and bring the culture in and with TV and all that, it turned into a thing somehow. It's like Christmas minus the public holiday. So that being said, let's start with our meetups. So what we have for our meetups?
I haven't
Okay,
gotten
so
it up yet.
I will start first. Today we're supposed to have a Scrum retreat. There's daytime invitation only. Then, Friday is tomorrow is actually beginning of WordCamp KL, and that is actually along the way there is a WordCamp workshop at 2 p.m. Then on Saturday is also continuation of WordCamp. Uh, WordCamp KL is happening at Berjaya Times Square from 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. at
Mm.
Berjaya Times Square in B. It's happening on Friday and Saturday.
WordCamp.
Yeah,
Huh.
it's WordPress is still big, and it's
Yeah.
the unfortunately, despite the fact that we like our tools, WordPress is currently the easier one that people use. That don't People not willing to pay like Wix and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. So what happened next, Tristan?
There is so e-genting bug hunt. I don't know what e-genting bug hunt is.
It used to be Genting Digital Arm is going to school.
Mm.
What they do is they use it for recruiting, and it's actually a series of programming competition.
Is it
But
a
this one is
I
yes.
Yeah, I remember the programming competition. I've seen the some of the questions there, and then you're not allowed to like look up answers or whatever, right? But
Correct,
this is a
correct.
bug hunt. What's the difference?
Uh, Testing procedures. I do not know. This is new to me. I do not know who added
Mm,
that. So,
okay.
but
Well,
e-gunting competition tend to be a bit. Their digital arm competition tends to be old. I mean, pretty hard and those days. So maybe something like that. So
mm,
that's it. Let's move on.
yeah. So Tuesday is not here yet, but
Yeah.
we'll add it. Ruby Tuesday is happening at Rapid River.
Yep.
So I will put that on the calendar in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Then Wednesday would be Level Up KL Business Day. Looks like a networking event or
Yeah. By
something
MDEC is happened by
by
MDEC.
MDEC.
Then they have data
Uh,
council meetup. This happening at Found 8. It's a data meetup is actually a series of meetup for data engineering and data science and machine learning etc. Then we
mm-hmm,
have a blockchain meetup happening. Data council meetup is happening at Found 8 Station Central
mm-hmm.
uh, at 7 p.m. And we had a blockchain meetup at Hello Go at Wisma ENC at Bukit Damansara.
Yeah,
This
I
one
haven't.
happening at the same day. Yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen like a blockchain meetup in a long time.
Yeah, they've been
So
quiet.
maybe they have been meeting, but we just aren't aware of it. But now they're. I mean, we know people from Hello Gold,
Yep.
so looks like they're hosting this particular one, and
Yep.
I think this one is a legit blockchain meetup and not
Yeah.
just one of those marketing networking I sell you coin meetups.
Yes. Then let's see. Uh, then on
Next
Thursday,
week.
Thursday, yeah, next week Thursday we had an AI Gig project. Personally, I don't like the tone of it because I volunteer for a project and hopefully turn into startup. I don't like the tone, but if you're interested in the AI and all that, why not look up and see whether it works for you?
But so this is a Sunbather coffee. This is a cafe, a
Yeah,
Japanese fusion cafe. So I'm not sure if there will be presentations. Looks like this is a casual eat
meetup,
drink.
hackathon. Yeah,
Yeah. No, I don't think that you can do a hackathon there. Most
right.
likely it's a meet, drink, talk network. Maybe that's why they would like some volunteers, like TR projects and what do you
Yeah.
think? Bounce
Okay.
ideas around.
Okay. And that's the whole week.
What is a level up KL again? Oh, this MDEC. The whole week is level up KL.
Yeah, apparently,
Wow.
I confused between level up because Women Who Cook also had some level up event. There's for professional development.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly what we call the soft side of uh, professional development that are speaking and all that. So it's a bit of that though.
And so I'm
So
I'm at their website, levelupkl.com. Apparently, there's a lot of game development related programs,
that's
conferences,
why
workshops.
it sounds so familiar because
Mm,
Level Up used to be Meetup. It's a group focused on game development.
mm.
Let's move on. Anything interesting for the past week?
I haven't been aware because I've been really busy. If you would have noticed, I had
Yes.
missed two two DevKami podcasts.
Yeah, but
Well,
you're
biggest
back.
one, the biggest
Yes.
one, I think, if you've been subscribing to YouTube channels, is that NordVPN got hacked,
Oh yeah, that one is
and
big. Yes.
that a lot of the YouTube channels that had been shilling NordVPN are now retracting support or whatever. It's
Yeah.
like oh look, you've been promoting NordVPN. I bought NordVPN because you
Yes.
recommended it, and now they got hacked. And
Yes.
apparently, it's because NordVPN did not audit their own data center third-party provider.
Yeah.
So apparently, that whoever hacked NordVPN had access to the third-party data center for
Mm-hmm.
almost a month,
Okay.
and they were not aware of it. So they were using a third-party data center, and they were not auditing their own practices. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a bit of irony, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
that a
Yeah.
security-focused, well, at least if you think VPN, you'd think about security and privacy, and you get
Yes.
hacked. So that was a big thing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, in this case, security, when you outsource to a third, okay, so the thing is, for security, every time you outsource to a third party, there is a risk that they do not do as much as you did,
Yeah,
even though
well,
they
so
claim to be
the
transparent.
thing there is that if you are in the security area, then you
Yeah.
would at least audit your own uh, partners, right? Like you would
Yeah,
send
yeah, yeah, yeah,
someone to the
yeah.
data center, like that would
Yes.
be be something that you would expect. I'm
But,
sure, for example, like Cloudflare, I don't know if they run their own data centers, but if they would have a third-party data center, then they would probably do something like
oh, the
that.
chances they have to because otherwise it's hard to set up a point of presence.
Mm,
Uh, Unless you run your own thing and you're very paranoid, it's actually very hard to do. So there's
mm-hmm,
that. Uh, so let's see. Oh yeah, the most important one to me is that the creator of Python, Guido, he's
mm-hmm.
officially retiring from retiring. He quit Dropbox. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a scandal thing. It's just that retired from the IT industry or
So
something.
it's not like the Stallman thing.
No, 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 no. Guido had been very clean and very outspoken in the way that he want to have minority to be contributing and all that. The reason he left the Python community, he's not the BDFL anymore, but the
Mm-hmm.
dictator for life. The reason for that is not a sex scandal, but a extremely vocal group of community members are against what we call the Boros operator. It's a new type assignment operator in Python 3.8. He wanted to be in a whole vocal group of people say against that, but he forced it through and he left. He really cannot stand this group of community members. So that's the reason he left actually. But for Dropbox, it just happens that he's on the age where he can retire from the IT industry. This is pretty important to me in a big way because Python is one of the earliest language to me.
Mm-hmm.
There is a few languages that got explored early on. One of it is Q Basics, which I didn't learn as much as I want to. The other one is Python. I learned a bit too high level until I understand C. So, but Python is one of the earliest language in the time where you had to buy compiler. Uh, it's a language that allows me to actually start interested in computing. So to
Sorry,
me, it's
I
pretty good.
so the
Yes,
walrus operator is the colon equals, right? Like
correct,
the Pascal
correct,
like assignment. What's the difference
correct.
with just assigning normally, like the
Uh, the
task?
reason the reason to have that is, for example, to do an assignment, you have to declare a variable first, do a if, then do whatever, then you go to the loop, and then you call the operator that you defined before the if statement. With the Boris operator, you do not need to do that. You can literally assign and do a comparison within within the if statement.
So it's declaring and assigning a variable
Yeah. Correct, correct,
together. Well, it's
correct.
similar to how Go would do it.
Yes,
But I
precisely.
thought Python is like Python. You just create a variable, right? If you assign if you
This
assign a value to a variable, that's like I equals one. I just gets created.
Yeah, correct. So that's why a lot of people do not like it, but in some case, it's actually helpful for a number of use cases that I can't think of it right now. They have
Okay.
it's a strong enough case, and it does make certain of those cases very clear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things like yeah, it's a lot of it is syntactic sugar, but it does make things clear. So in this way, I just think that the circumstance that he lived is uncalled for because
Mm-hmm.
it's a Walker community that push things too much. But that's enough story of Python. It's important to me, but that's my story. And also, I'm planning actually Python 2 funeral
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of this year will be the end of Python 2 support, meaning no update, including security from that day on. Yeah, you can still use Python 2, nobody stops you, but in the software industry term, it's dead.
Do you think someone will fork Python 2 and do maintenance and security updates?
Nobody stops them. Source code is available. I
Yeah.
doubt it because generally we have enough people that want to move forward. Even the traditional industry that use Python right now are jumping to three because they are from data science background and the best data science library already support three.
But because that's a lot of money to be made. This is like COBOL,
Correct,
where
correct, correct.
it's you can make money supporting older technology since there's
But
still a lot of Python code or Python 2 code out there.
correct. But in this case, we have also a lot more of the traditional industry already moved to three anyway. So there's
Mm.
no
So what
so
was I think I've asked you this before, but I don't remember. What is preventing those that are sticking to Python 2, or like why do they stick to Python 2 instead of just
uh,
moving to 3? It's not a big
uh,
thing, right?
uh, it can be, for example, for if you do hardware, now string is a binary operation. It's a
Mm-hmm.
binary object. It's a byte object, not a string object.
It's not a C
So
string. Are you?
correct.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a byte object. It makes a low level thing a bit more complicated, especially you write low level. You write some a code in C level. Yeah, a code in C level as a library to
Mm-hmm.
bind to Python. It can happen, but it's less and less important now. From Python 2 to 3, because 2.7 already do a lot of the thing. For example, print is now a function instead of statement. Python
Mm-hmm.
2.7 already helped do that already. Uh, so it's hard to say the reason why, but for some of the bank, it's maybe there is enough changes and libraries from the old style that break stuff. For example, I think one of the big investment firm that start very early on, there are millions of code that too hard to change.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the full story. Actually, this is actually one of the reasons why I want to do the Python 2 funeral because I want to. It's a good opportunity to ask questions and see why you change, why you don't change,
Mm-hmm.
what helps you change over.
Okay.
So that's
Yeah.
my big idea.
Speaking of languages that are changing,
Yeah,
I don't know if you talked about this a few weeks ago,
yeah,
but uh, Perl 6 is now not Perl. It's
yeah,
called Raku.
yes.
So
Uh,
Larry Wall, the creator of Perl, had
yeah,
given his blessing that the Perl 6 is not Perl 6 because it's
yeah.
confusing, because Perl
Hmm.
6 is not even like backwards compatible with Perl. So
Yes.
they will be naming it Raku. And
Hmm.
Raku is, I think, a Japanese word for entertainment.
Yeah, really?
They even have this, yeah, joy or entertainment, because
Uh,
they
yes.
have this play, or like
Uh,
their stand-up comedy thing, where it's called Rakugo. So that
uh,
literally means a language of joy or language of entertainment or
okay.
something, or
It
speaking
makes
entertainment.
sense. It makes sense in a way. It doesn't make sense on another. It makes sense because POSIX have a lot too many new feature. They even
Mm-hmm.
have bloody new runtime. It doesn't make sense because the language need to evolve one way or another. It is Perl is hardly a dead language. It still exists.
Yeah, it's like
Uh,
Hobo. You just have a lot
yeah,
of old written scripts that are
yeah,
still running, but
yes,
nobody just wants to update them because it's still working.
correct. Human genome project are safe by Perl, but I think the genomic guys already moved to Python mostly. But that's another story. That said, we should move on, and it's Halloween, not Christmas. Do not try to convert October to December ever again for a day.
Okay.
That yeah, it's an older joke. Uh, so it's Halloween. It's supposed to be scary and all that. Uh, I hope to collect some horror story from Tristan and you. Maybe I share some of the horror story as well. So let's start with you. Any horror story you want to talk about?
I don't have any right now. I
Really?
don't know.
I have so
Well, we
many.
were. Well, you have. Well, I guess I wouldn't say a horror. So that the thing about horror is that it's a. I guess maybe the word doesn't come across to me correctly, but
Yeah.
more like a bad story or like a war story for me instead. Because horror is more like it's still there and it's still like scary, right? But most of what
Uh,
you would say as a horror story or like a scary story is more like, oh, eventually it it all got sorted out. So I don't have any like experiences so far that it's still lingering. Like I'm still traumatized by something. So I don't think there is. So I think we were like some colleagues of mine were sharing war stories, and one of the things that I remember I shared was
mhm.
um, like, because how does one get to delete a production database, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, like apparently it's not because you would think like what you would have like the intention to do that or like something like that, like
Mhm.
how does it happen accidentally, and apparently it happens quite often. So in this case, my ex-colleague from a previous company was doing something in development, like we were pairing talking about how to approach something,
Mhm.
and one of our colleagues from the business side was asking, "Hey, can you please check this particular customer?" So it's like basically an
Mhm.
interruption, and so the environment was changed to quickly take a look at the customer account and then the email, etc. And then okay, it's great, but then because it's the same terminal and there was no difference, it was still in the production mode, and so we reset the database, and that reset the production database. So that I would say is an accident,
Uh-huh.
that because the context switch just threw you off. You were developing something and then you just had
Right.
to do something in the same terminal. So that's
But
how databases in production gets deleted.
yes.
Not through an intentional thing, but because you happen to change environments. At least that's from what I have experienced.
Okay, so I have one. Uh, I have an interesting one. Uh, let's see. Uh, okay, I because it involved my current job, so I cannot give name. But so I was in a bank. All right, I was in a bank. Uh, so the horror story goes this way. It's called COBOL. All right.
Mhm.
Uh, it's scary. It's really scary because I do not know how people can work in that environment. So what is a? Can you imagine a language that is in capital only?
Mhm.
No concept of private variables. No concept of private variables. Uh, your data variables is in limited length, and meaning there's no flexibility. And the,
I think you're talking about SQL, right?
no, I'm
No,
talking about COBOL,
no, I'm just kidding.
and
Sounds similar.
yeah, it's very similar because
They're both
COBOL,
business languages. Yeah.
yeah, in business languages, right, is supposed to be, but the scary part is one, almost nobody use it as a business only language, but nobody uses it as system language either. Thank goodness. So there's that. Um, but here's why it's scary. A code that go really unwieldy within 100 lines of code, a language that really goes unwieldy for 100 lines of code, is running your financial transaction every night
Mhm.
at night. And I try to guess how they do their integration.
Well, I don't know about if it's actually scary, because I would think of like, because software is generally, because it's virtual, so it
Yeah,
doesn't change, it doesn't rot. If you don't change it, it won't rot, it won't
uh,
corrode. It, unlike machinery, like for example, right? Unlike
yep,
real world. So I sometimes when I do presentations, I would compare
yes,
like code that you don't need to change to like the
yep,
software that's running the Voyager 2. And
yeah,
it's like thousands of kilometers away. Like it's
yes,
like the furthest thing from us, the man-made object from us right now.
yeah,
And
correct,
nobody can debug that, because it will
yeah,
take like multiple months to, or I don't know
yes,
how long it is, like multiple weeks to, like just to get a response.
yeah, correct,
And that's it. It's just there. It's part of the hardware.
yes.
So I guess if it works, this is the perfect example of if it works, don't
Uh,
fix it.
yes,
Yeah.
except, uh, you'll be surprised that how dynamic a banking system is.
Mm.
Uh, every month, every month there will be a plan made up by marketing. Okay, made up by marketing. Chinese New Year, uh, credit card points for ang pao retrieval. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, next month, this is March, March celebration. Every month, at least, a minimum, we have a change. And you're talking about hundreds of codes for a language that do not have global variable, have no meaning of function, unwieldy within 100 line of codes, and the way they integrate with each other is actually through files that generating records run by batch files. Uh, so batch files, and it's very hard to integrate with third-party system. And the way they do that is they throw it to a file that then a file will actually read it from FTP server from the disk so that they can push to a more modern system that push back and forth. So here's why it's scary to me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, how can people work in that kind of environment, right? Uh,
Mm, I
okay, think
remember.
about yeah.
Yeah, I
The
remember a few years ago. The COBOL. I forgot what they name it right now. Was it something modern? Like
yeah,
those were like, so they were hiring new people that they pay quite well,
yeah.
and to maintain these systems, and it's quite like although when I did apply, they said I was overqualified, and the HR person actually told me not to continue
Mm-hmm.
because they, she didn't want me to waste my life in this in this
Yeah,
line of work. So
because
I was still thankful about that.
so it's annoying. It's actually annoying because uh, so if you write a code, you realize that there's how many times you can recycle a variable name because modern language of scoping, if not in function, then in class, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very rarely we use global variable. There is sometimes we use it, but it's extremely rare. But here's a language that only have global variable, unruly 100 line of code. Those are running a financial system, and only gray hair people can actually debug those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And because your variable is a fixed length character, and the world doesn't work on the fixed length character scale, so those things still works despite the fact that every month there will be a promotion plan of any kind and all that, and it scares the hell out of me because things will break at any time, okay, at any
Mm-hmm.
time, and it did. So, and that is scary because there's so many places where things can be broken, and it's not because yet it didn't, but it can. So, yeah, that's my scary story.
Yeah. Sorry, the
Yeah.
other one was RPG. So
Mm-hmm.
that time, COBOL and RPG. RPG is a reporting thingy. I thought
Correct.
RPG was quite cool because that was like the time of MMORPGs
Yeah.
a few years ago,
Yes.
and so I thought, okay, cool. I'm working with RPG, but yes, and then the HR said, nope, don't continue on this line.
Yeah.
Although the pay
Uh,
was quite good, I
yeah, it
just
is
I
extremely good.
I guess I feel they're just looking for like some people who had a bit of experience in another language but
Mm-hmm.
are looking to jump to a different line but will be a dead end work. So it's
Yeah.
basically not even writing new stuff, but more like maintaining it and probably porting it to a different system.
Yeah,
So
because
probably.
and often people that work in the bank that are people like us, the hacker type, uh, do not tend to last long in the bank.
Mhm.
And yet, for a bank, they want stability because it's already very hard to hire people with such knowledge, and people
Mhm.
that left won't join them back. So, and there's a liability. So, my gut feeling tells me that's the horror story for them. Do not hire people like us because we left and it's hard to hire again.
Mhm.
So there's that. Um, so do you have a version control horror story then?
I not really. I mean, version control solves a lot of things, so I don't know if there's a
Okay.
version control horror story.
Okay. So did you break anything before? Did you miss? Okay. So let's forget about our horror story in a traditional stance. Things that
Mm-hmm.
give you a scare, that give you a new lessons. Keep it at that. So how about your
Mm.
first mess up on Git? That must happen before. What's your first mistake
Well,
on
I
Git?
guess I guess committing keys and then deleting the file and thinking it's already deleted, and then
Yeah.
panicking after a week when
Okay.
someone mentions that the keys are publicly available. So I guess that because it's different from SVN, right? Where
Yeah.
you have a version control, but when you delete something, it's like it's because on the if you delete something on the central SVN server, then it's gone.
Yeah. Yes.
Whereas Git is like because you actually have copies and it's like on top a diff on top of each other.
Yeah.
It's different. So yeah, I guess that is a realization that I got when the whole concept of Git and its differentials from its points,
Mhm.
from its previous versions. How is it different from CVS or SVN?
So I have
Well,
yeah.
amazingly
Yeah.
though, that a lot of people are still making the same mistakes. That they will commit it and then just delete the file and then commit
Yeah.
the new version, and then you'd see
Yes.
that oh they're fine. Like when you code review someone and then they just remove the thing without doing a git amend and force push. They'll just commit on top of the thing. So it's still a big misunderstanding, I think.
Yes. And that to me is very scary because you know how many passwords exist on GitHub?
Yeah, there's a lot. You can do a search. There are
Yes.
even like search engines, right, that do a
Yeah.
search on like code repositories that will like mine Amazon keys or
Yes.
Google keys.
Yes. And those okay, so that's scary to me, but that's about that didn't scare enough people as I thought, but there's that. So my big scare that I still never learned my lesson on is
Hmm.
for some reason I actually destroyed SVN repository when I was during my internship. Uh,
How do you do that?
Fun story, I don't know. I just delete a
Mm.
file, then boom. I do not know what
Hmm.
happened. Interesting, isn't it? I got a
You
feeling I
delete a
might.
file on you delete a file on the server, or you delete a file in SVN and commit that.
It's possible that I delete a. More likely, I delete a set of file. I may have
Mm-hmm.
do rm star
Mm-hmm.
dash r star on the repository and commit it, and I destroyed everything. I never figured out that part because I was young. It's during my uni time, and I did not have a concept of doing a postmortem on myself. Uh, so Git is interesting, but I still didn't master it. So just like till now, version control is still very scary to me. By the way, I always double check my commit. Did I run the command correctly? Uh, One bad habit I still do is I use git pull. Do not do use git pull. Use git fetch. Use
Mm-hmm.
git fetch origin. I think
Really?
that's
I do git pull, but I do git pull dash dash rebase just so that if it does pull something, then my
yes,
changes are always on top of the changes.
right.
So
So
I don't know. I didn't like because I like to do things fast. I don't want like two-step operations of git fetch and then git pull or whatever.
yeah, but I it's more than one time. It's more than one time I did my mistake on Git before. For example, I have Git is a bit more resilient, so I didn't destroy a repository. Thank goodness. It's very hard to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I did do things really silly, like I forget what my code is. This before I discovered Git very early on. This very early when I discovered Git. Uh, then actually committed a password that keep happening. Uh, I learn a bit more now, but you know, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Git scares me sometimes. So
Yeah.
uh, then
There. How
yeah,
so? Not really a horror story, but I guess because I was at the Go meetup. Was it yesterday? No,
yeah,
Tuesday.
yeah,
Tuesday, and then Michael was showing some of the CNR project Go files, and
yeah,
it's reading through PDFs and
yeah,
doing some matching on the text to find
yeah,
out what the questions, what which parts are the questions, and
yes,
which parts are the answers, and
yeah,
which page for from which page to the next page to until
hmm
what page is the answer, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess it's less of a technical horror story, but more like who are the people who would record these answers and typeset them onto the document, and do they roll their eyes whenever this parliament officer like says something ridiculous as an answer?
Uh, that I do not know whether they roll their eyes, but it's more likely that this is typed on the word processor,
Mm-hmm.
which is why the layout doesn't always work easily for us. So
Well,
it's more
it's typed at the word processor, yes, but
yes,
definitely not markdown. I think it's
yeah.
too much
No, no,
to
no, no,
ask
no.
for a typesetter. But
Correct,
someone
correct.
has to listen, right? This is
Yeah,
not
yeah,
a
yeah, 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 yeah,
voice dictated
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
dragon naturally
Yeah.
speaking. Someone has to transcribe them. So that's a lot
Yeah.
of work.
Yes, unfortunately, yes, and politics is scary in multiple ways because one, parliament is where big decisions are made. There's another scary story for that, but uh, and in all these decisions are things like how much money we want to dedicate to entrepreneurship program.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and those money is in tens of millions minimum. Actually, the minimum is 100,000. That is the absolute minimum. Hundreds of thousands are the absolute minimum more of the time. So what scares me is there's a lot of topic, and it's also scary that everyone have their own agenda. Democracy is messy for this reason. Uh, it's easy for us in tech people because we tend to synchronize about what is cool, what is not. So scary thing number two, uh, scary one is money. Scary thing number two is everybody have different opinion at different thing. So how to coordinate those? And number three, the guys, the people there are actually working at a very traditional technology level.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so they are typing one by one, and the chances that different cloud typing different thing at different time. But it is what it is. Decision are made. Decision are made this way, and it's being recorded manually.
But it's
Uh,
good that you have proper PDFs. It's not just like a scan of typewriter or like
yeah,
whatever
yeah,
print
yeah.
was printed, right?
Correct,
And it's made available. So at least a budget was actually allocated to do that.
correct.
Because if there was if there was something to be learned from even all the way to the dark ages, is if
Yeah,
you would want to have complete control over your populace, is to
yes,
deny them access to information.
yes,
And which is why in the dark ages, like books were burned, like all sources of information and knowledge
yeah,
was kept in the ivory towers of these monks, is
yeah.
because they don't want people to learn and to rise up against the whatever was the
Well,
power structure there.
it's more likely that books are still expensive. And oh, I should do an episode on Gutenberg. Let me bring you something. Give me a
Hmm.
minute. I hope I have it. No,
No,
I don't
we
have
can do
it.
it later. It's okay.
Yeah, I have a book about Gutenberg. Gutenberg is interesting because
Mm.
that is the first information technology, and their
Yeah.
investment is very important. But that's another
Hmm.
story for now.
Hmm.
So politics is scary because everybody have different people have different take away politics, take away party, take away this. Everybody different people have different reason to join and want different things.
Hmm.
So try to imagine we had a conference of programming language of everyone in in DevKami, okay? We're
Hmm.
going to decide one thing. In this case, we decide a team. Then
Yeah.
suddenly the Python guys say we need to do readability. Then Ruby said no, we need flexibility. That's why Go say we need reliability as a team.
Hmm.
Can you imagine? And this is just programming language alone.
Yeah.
Now expand this to the real world. Uh, Multiple people doing multiple things for different time is very scary. But unfortunately, when you have people that's that I have one cool one. Should I talk about it because it used to involve my old work? Oh, okay. This is scary. This is not scary, but this is silly. But There's lesson to be done there. I used to work for a government contractor. I always say that. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I built a claim system. Again, I said it multiple times. If you keep a cent every time I say this, they will get rich. But I'm going to do that anyway. I'm going to do that anyway. This scary for so in between during in the middle development, uh, the project owner found out that realized that maybe they don't actually want a digital system for claims.
Mm-hmm. Because it's
Uh,
so easy to make a claim.
no, it's not because it's easy to make a claim. It turns out that verification is complicated.
Hmm.
Uh, so they so try to imagine at that time I'm not clear. Before that I was like, why you have a claim system where you have reader and different roles can do different thing. Why suddenly you insist on a print version of it? So here's the scary part. Almost there's this happens in many traditional organizations from government to occasionally banks and all that. Notice that they always want you to print a copy of the document to keep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The scary story is this. One, IT. It will what a lesson from all the hack and all that recently in Malaysia is IT infrastructure are not well invested in Malaysia.
Mm-hmm.
uh, Traditional organization have very strict rule for the wrong reason.
Mm.
Okay, so scary story number one, and they'll fix that until they have a digital service.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, IT infrastructure are under invested, meaning uh, they may be selected by the lowest cost, by the lowest vendor with the lowest capability possible. That's number one. Number two, uh, so occasionally when a project is really a reskin of a paper-based system because uh, and this is very interesting. Traditional organization thinks in forms. They do not think they do not think in digital process. So when you build a software, this is a common thing you do, and this will never change. Uh, Application built for traditional organization reflect the business process, and often those are forms. It's a digital duplication of form, which is uh, if you go, it will scares people in because they will keep. It scares me that every time people go in, every time people think they will change, and every time they go back to this,
Mm-hmm.
we are doing a duplicate of form.
And you'd
And
notice it on a lot of our like taxes, right? Like it
yeah,
yeah, it feels like 4 pages of
correct,
paper forms. Just you just enter it on the website with accordions and all of these things.
correct. Uh, in Malaysia, it's less bad, but it's still a four-page document, pre-populated,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes it's easier to count. But government don't know everything, but that's that. Uh, so, and this will never change. Imagine that we go in, it will never change for a very short time. It's the same almost 10 years back, it will be the same now. You'll be thinking form and yes, traditional. Okay, so which is why in the claim project, we have to do a PDF version. And actually,
Mm-hmm.
there's a real reason for it. Turns out that we are we as a software developing group are very suck at verification. Uh,
Verification of what? Of
okay, so imagine
actual
that
of data?
uh, so in a system, it may sound weird, but you require a chart to say that
Mm-hmm.
this is verified and signed by a person. Uh, Currently, how do we have the equivalent of okay, so think about your verification process for a form process. I am submitting something for you to verify. How do I
Mm-hmm.
prove you are you? Throw away buzzword, throw away blockchain. Do not give me the blockchain shit for now.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
the original idea, at least in the Philippines, for the national ID system is to
yes,
have everyone also have an online. This is, and Estonia is doing this now, to
yeah,
have an online identity that the
yeah,
government, like it's an online registry of citizenship, right? And that
correct,
is what you use to confirm who you are, who you are.
correct,
Basically, that card. So that's in
yes.
Estonia.
So so what happened is we can do that. We can do that we can do that very well on email if you use public key, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You have to somebody is you have to give them a private key and say then you have to sign it with key and say hey, I'm verified. In this case, a government what a government would do in theory if they decide to do it is to they have to sign your private key to make sure that it's yours, right? To verify that it's you. Then the private key is something that you have, then they can use it to sign,
Yep.
counter sign, and all that, right? Uh, Believe it or not, we do not have that for web application. Notice
Mm-hmm.
that?
Well,
Uh,
I guess in Malaysia itself,
No, not
no.
here. No,
Yeah.
correct. But in my project throughout the year, we don't see that. I don't see that
Mm.
yet. That's why it scares me. That's why I consider we don't have a standard yet. We don't have a strong
Mhm.
standard yet. We have hints of a standard. Libraries exist. Public key system can already be run on a
Well, a
browser.
lot of I noticed that a lot of the identification
Yeah,
verification is done by proxy. Like for example,
yeah,
get a credit card and then whatever the name is on that credit card is your
yes,
name by proxy because
yes.
the credit card has already done KYC and verification
Correct,
on you,
correct,
right?
correct, correct.
But
Uh,
not a first party verification service.
Precisely. Turns out that for a claim system, they want the traditional way because you can confirm that it's me, even though the technology is a bit crude, chalk and signature,
Mm-hmm.
but going to the office is alone is the verification and they have the record, etc. That's what they want. They don't just want they want the convenience of web service, but they also want the verification or a few of the traditional processes that to us is very cumbersome, to them is very important.
Mm-hmm.
So which lead to the next scary part of it. We running away from the cumbersome part, and we often think that we can replace it at least in the name of disruption, but it's not necessarily true. I already seen the same thing for a parking system. I noticed that a few parking systems try to use app and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Then we realized that they just want the app, but they didn't think through the process. One of the thing about the app is that now are you forcing people to use a certain set of app, whereas traditionally they use paper and they design paper to be easy to fill for various reasons, and we forget about that, right?
Yeah.
It's scary to me that every time somebody want to go into service created by government and all that, they think about disruption and did not think about the reason of the disruption and think about the old process, why they need the old process.
Well, I guess it's
Uh,
the same with every new software project, right? Like
yeah,
thinking about the migration.
yes,
It's easy to create a new thing, but it's the weight, the momentum of whatever is there, and how do
yeah.
you migrate away from whatever its direction is to the new way
So,
of doing things.
so I'm not saying that we should keep doing it the old way. I'm saying that we need to take. So remember the verification problem. We need to fix verification. We're not replacing it with a sim. With a. You need to fix that part by their
Hmm.
requirement, right? In a way that makes sense with that.
So I guess if you have big pay, right? So
Yeah,
one of the things they use for verification now is the, like you say, numbers, and then you
yeah,
turn your head and those things. So
yeah,
there
yeah.
are there are some companies that are so it's outsourced to a
Yeah.
verification company basically,
Correct.
and
Correct.
there are some companies that are trying to do this, but
Yeah.
not at the government level. So I
No.
think that's I feel is
So.
the like if that happens, then a lot of well they will all like go out of business because the thing that they are saying they will do is government is now doing right. But
Yeah,
then on the
but
other hand, a lot of the services that you're talking about will be super streamlined because now you
yeah.
have a single like you know basically the identity of whoever
Yeah.
is using your product, and
Correct.
that is
So,
and that is backed by government, so that's official.
well, believe it or not, your shop is not really backed by government. The office is, but the shop is not.
Yeah. Hmm.
So the chalk and signature is not, but it just proves that you've been there and all that. In a way, it's just one of many.
Well, I
Uh,
guess it is a legal thing, right? Like
yeah, yeah,
if you
yeah, yeah.
go, if you end up in court and there's a chop, and then that means, yeah, that was acknowledged by the company.
Correct, correct,
That
correct, correct. Yes. Uh, there's opportunity there, but I'm not sure whether private companies go in. Maybe they can, maybe they don't. I don't know. I don't have a strong idea yet. But it just scares me that every time we have a transformation project, is replacing the old way with a different way that's not as strong, or they
hmm
which lead to some they want to go back to the old way, or sometimes they just want the old way because they're afraid of new way of doing things because we have such a bad record to do things properly, not good enough,
yeah. So in
and
the end, it what happens is you get like an online form that you fill out and then you print and bring to the office
yeah, correct,
because it wasn't fully thought out. Like, oh, you need to be online, and so that was the only
correct,
thing that you
correct.
can get online.
Yes, yes.
Mm.
And it scares me to me because I see the same thing over and over and over and over and nothing change. So
Mhm.
yeah. Not scary
Yeah.
story, but it's more of a sad story. But
Mhm.
it scares me that nobody actually learned the lesson.
Mhm.
That's
We
it.
have a few comments on YouTube. Do you want to
Yeah.
take a look at them?
Yeah, let's go
Uh,
around.
Justin is saying howdy. So,
Howdy,
hello.
Justine.
Are you still here? I don't know. I don't think you're still here.
Yeah.
There is Nicholas, who I don't know what he was talking about with the silly companies, but
Yeah.
writing codes using pen and paper was the eGenting. That's what I read about. Yep, that
Yeah.
was it. And that there had
Uh,
been several blockchain meetups, but yeah, but not technical meetups.
yeah. And
Then
also
I don't
there's
know what
level
was
up.
ah
Level up.
level up KL. There was
I
level webcam KL was renamed level up KL, but they're not
yeah.
actually the same thing. So I don't know. Wuhan, we
Yeah.
should talk to Wuhan and ask him about this.
We should do Wuhan part two
Mm,
again. We
yeah.
shall see. Let's see how it goes.
What? How was your October hack something like? I forgot what was it? Summer? No, not summer of code.
So so I 10 my 100 day of code. It
100 days of
failed.
code. Yeah. Why?
It,
How do you feel
uh,
100 days?
I don't have the energy to code at night anymore.
Mm,
And also the timing is bad because I leave home by 6, I reach home by 8. I reach home by 8, then I need to figure out how things work and all that. So
mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just an energy thing. But that's it. I was supposed to join a hackathon, the Space App hackathon. I
Yeah. What
bailed.
happened there?
I bailed because I don't want to work. I don't want to form team with strangers. I was
Well,
planning to do it because help.
what were you trying to build if, for example, you were going to
Okay,
continue?
so I was planning to build a database. It's just a database of uh, interesting location. So my idea is goes like this. Original idea goes like this. Uh, find place around me. Find place around me with garbage spot, and how many of those around me at this distance.
Mm.
Google do some of those, but Google only point you that restaurant around me, but it doesn't do things like fire around me. What's the closest forest fire in my area? Turns out
Mm-hmm.
there's one actually because I have forest. They have some fire sometime back. Uh, so because I look at it, NASA had multiple projects before. I used to have a landslide project and all that. Not all of those are satellites because some are on the ground research, but those are got released the geographical
Mm-hmm.
point. So I can ask this kind of question. Google only gave a point of interest, but not
Mm-hmm.
point of events.
Well, I
So
guess it's because it's very temporal, right? Like
correct, correct,
the
correct.
event happens at a certain time and then it's gone after a certain time. So it's more similar
Uh,
to Waze, I would say, where oh, there's a
but
police here, but then
yeah,
later it's not there anymore. There's a
but
traffic
it's
jam here. Yeah.
but I answer a very interesting question. For example, Selayang is my housing area. Is actually built quite a number of houses on the hill, and some of them actually have landslide nearby few years back. Those
Mm-hmm.
are usually indicated by bad irrigation, changes of tree and all that overdevelopment. We can ask a question. Give me a pattern of landslide. The thing is, it doesn't work
Mm,
that way
yeah.
because it doesn't work that well because landslide is one thing, but flood is multiple thing. Within this month, how many flood versus landslide is a one time, then they will have
Oh,
it like once every year.
and you have a problem of your data source as well because you most likely you would rely on self-reporting and that
Yeah,
oh,
correct.
and this is probably the reason why all of these like crime reporting things have failed. It's because people just report like suspicious looking individual as a crime and
Yeah.
it just doesn't give you correct information.
That one is a bit more complicated because in the US, there are by law for police to release the information. Here, we still don't have the culture. And as a result, we cannot crowdsource crime because in Malaysia, unfortunately, Malaysians are racist as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I have some common friends that are from they are Indian, ethnic Indian Malaysia, of Indian ethnicity. When people saw them in Bangsa,
Mm-hmm.
the person run away. They got a lot of those horror story, right? Yeah, chances is these guys are make more than whoever that run away because they are director of
Mm-hmm.
engineering or whatever. It
Mm-hmm.
just happens to be Indian origin, uh, you know, Indian origin, right?
Mm-hmm. They
Ancestry.
look like
So
someone who would have come from India.
yeah, precisely, right? So self-reporting doesn't work in Malaysia because we have too many races,
Well,
unfortunately.
not just for crime, but also for landslides. Like, most likely, someone who is in the vicinity of a landslide
Yeah.
would be busy taking their belongings out and rescuing themselves, then going to an
No.
app and reporting it.
So landslide, yes, but there is official.
Ah,
This, and also I was looking at things like how much is Planet Lab because Planet Lab can actually cover. They can see anything the size of a ship,
mm-hmm.
pretty well. And that is good enough for landslide. I thought a deep learning project, but turns out that it
Mm.
doesn't work as well. And I also discovered that we only have low resolution satellite image for free
So
because
you
those
were
are
thinking of
expensive.
doing like a
And
visually machine learning to
yeah,
identify landslides from satellite images.
not just landslide. I was thinking of events. It's a
Yeah.
database. It's a database of
Mm-hmm.
events with time. That's the point. It's not landslide. Landslide is one of those because it's recorded.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Fire is recorded and fire is
Mm-hmm.
recent.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, that
Earthquakes?
real
Oh, you
lands
don't have earthquakes in Malaysia.
correct. Fire we do have those. Uh, let's see. I was playing around because there is some high resolution and low resolution satellite.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
about exploring like what is high resolution, what is not, because often atmospheric research is very high resolution.
Yeah.
They look at upper clouds, and it's not really useful for low level and stuff. But it's still interesting to learn. So that's to
Mm-hmm.
me. It's just that I'm not. It's just that I want to know what is expected but not, and I don't want to form a team of stranger. So there's that. I was planning to just head along. So that's it. Uh, man, you asked a lot about me, and it's almost 11. I forgot
Yeah,
what
well,
happened with you.
we're talking about horror stories, right? So it's
Yeah,
like you're like the in the campfire, and then
yeah,
Grandpa, let's tell us a horror story. So
yes.
I need to ask
So,
you. In my old days, yeah,
yes,
I
I
I
use a
went to a
language.
hackathon.
Yes, I use a language that don't have
Yeah.
private variables. I
Hmm.
use a language that don't have scoping. Yes, and everything is in caps. Okay,
Everything is a global. Yeah.
so
Sounds like
that's
basic
it.
actually. Basic is like that, you know.
Yeah,
Like if you were in a like 40 character Apple Basic days,
yeah,
well, caps is the only thing you can type. There's no support
yeah.
for lowercase because
Yes,
the computer memory cannot keep lowercase fonts in memory. Basically, that's how low power, low
yeah,
memory system that one was. That's why you have to type in caps,
yeah,
and it's only 40 characters columns unless you had
yeah.
this newfangled like graphics card that allows you to have 80 columns in
Yes.
your terminal in your screen, so
Oh, by
that
the
was
way,
fun.
80 columns partly exist because of punch card.
Hmm.
Now you know. So
Yeah,
that's
no,
it.
same as 40 and
Yeah,
then 80. It's like, and then the terminal was just like a reflection of how they were using the punch cards.
correct. So it's 11 now, and before we extend further, anything want to add before we
No,
move
I
on?
think next week we'll finally have Chiliong, hopefully,
Yeah, then we
and then
figure
we
out what to talk
can.
about.
Yeah. If anyone has any suggestions, you can always put that on the comments
Yeah,
and or in Slack.
yeah.
And if you can just click on the like button, that really
Mm-hmm.
helps because that
Subscribe.
yeah, yeah, subscribe it. But liking it apparently helps with the dissemination on the Google platform. So
Yeah,
the more likes you have on a particular section of the video, then they promote it more. So I don't know.
yeah,
It would really help.
yeah. So it should be here, here, here. Click the bell. You know where to click. Just don't click thumbs down. Don't do that. So that's
Someone
it. I
someone
think.
clicks on thumbs down on all of our videos. I'm not sure why. Like just click
Okay.
on, just go through all of the
So
videos and clicks thumbs down.
yeah. So that's it. So I think that's all then. So should we say goodbye?
Bye.
Bye. All right. And broadcast. Yes. And